Okay, Jay, Stephanie, I see event live up top, which means we are live in living color. So, hello, everyone. Welcome to Stagwell at South by Southwest. I'm so excited to be here. I'm your host, Matt Maher. I'm a contributor at Stagwell. I'm founder of M7 Innovations, a tech consultancy, frankly, who cares about me because we have two absolutely brilliant guests with us today. So, here's going to be the run of the show. We have a jam-packed 30 minutes. I'm going to start with introducing our two guests. I'm then going to do a 2-minute intro recap of essentially the first week at South by, which is going to then springboard us into our discussion, where we're going to kind of talk about three topics: the metaverse, creator economy, NFTs, and community. And we're going to dig a little bit deeper, go past the buzz, and see what's actually real. So this is interactive. This is live. Frankly, it's terrifying. So we want discussions. We want comments. If you disagree, if you have a question, please put it in the chat over here. We will get to it. And even if we don't, we'll track you down digitally and make sure we answer your question for you. So without further ado, let me introduce our two amazing panelists. First up, we have Stephanie Wiseman. Stephanie is the head of growth at YML, who literally just won Customer Experience Agency of the Year by Ad Age, and that's a huge deal. She's a former developer turned business development executive, so she's been in the trenches. Over a decade experience working with clients to grow and transform businesses, worked at top agencies, BBDO, Work & Co., LBI Digitas. She focuses on digital transformation, product design and development, and SaaS solutions. Frankly, she's a digital mastermind. So through her career, she's worked with emerging brands, established brands. She launches digital properties, software, and apps, all focused, obviously, on exceptional customer experience. She has climbed Mount Kilimanjaro, both metaphorically and literally. She's actually climbed the mountain. So Stephanie, really nice to have you here today.
Thanks for having me. Quite the intro. I appreciate it.
Oh, of course. Next
I'm
up is Jay.
Badly about myself already. I feel like an underachiever.
Not at all, because you're Jae Goodman. And Jay, he's the CEO of Observatory, and I can't bury the lead here. They just three-peated as Fast Company's world's most innovative companies. So they did further work with Nike's Waffle Iron Entertainment, Nike's Netflix's brand partnerships with Ben & Jerry's, and over a decade of work with Chipotle, including this year's animated short film, A Future Begins, with Casey Musgrave's reimagination and Coldplay's Fix You. There must be a lot of onion cutting at Chipotle because that film will make you cry. Jay is the creative mind and the creative life behind Observatory's 4 Cannes Lions Grand Prix wins, which happened in 4 different categories. Fun fact, out of the tens of thousands of submissions to Cannes, 0.07% will win a Grand Prix, and Jay's done it 4 times. Then there's the 10 Webby Awards, the 4 Emmys from 11 Emmy nominations, and they're also responsible for the first ever film accepted to the Sundance Film Festival. So it's safe to say Jay's a little bit creative. He serves on the board of FE Worldwide, a 2-time Cannes Lion jury president, and most importantly, he's a great guy. Jay, awesome to have you here today.
Matt, wow, you really did it for Stephanie and I. I wish we had a cheat sheet for your contributions, but I will say this, going off script. If everybody isn't already watching your recaps of South by Southwest so far, you should. I have been sharing them far and wide. They're fantastic. So thank you. And thank you for having us.
Oh, you are the best, Jay. I just Venmo'd you the $100. I really appreciate it. So let's start right into our recap, 2-minute recap to kind of springboard us to our conversation. So it's South by Southwest. It's the only conference where Beto O'Rourke can leave the stage and Lizzo can kind of come up. It's wild. It's wonderful. And we'll start with Lizzo. So Grammy award-winning platinum artist here for Amazon Studios. So she's here for an unscripted series where she's fusing entertainment, social, influence. And that's what we're kind of seeing here at South by. It's no longer entertainment, social, innovation, creator economy. It's all fluid and connected. The metaverse, you cannot escape it. The XR experience took over the Fairmont Hotel. You have thousands of nerds like me throwing on headsets, just living our best lives. There were countless metaverse presentations and talks. Don't worry, Stephanie, Jay, and myself, we're going to get into it, past the shininess and right into the substance. Second, creator economy, it was in full swing. You know, the one-time basement gamer turned #1 Twitch streamer Ninja gave a keynote on how to build your brand, the future of entertainment. The Expo 4 had companies like TV Startup, which is a tech that can turn an influencer into an OTT channel, which I thought was crazy. But then I realized a few of the 130 million followers that Charlie D'Amelio has would probably watch a Charlie channel 24/7, no questions asked. And last, there's a lot about community, people being able to actually hug each other in real life, people talking Web3 and NFT communities, and the promising decentralized internet. And frankly, tech and this evolved internet is very much connecting us and giving us a new level of immersion. And we are racing to that future. But is that the future we want? What does that mean for human connection? What does it mean for our privacy? What does it mean for our data? If my chair could spin, that's where I would do the 360 and land and say, this is where we start our discussion. So this is where we start a discussion. And the first topic is going to be the metaverse, real or fake. And I want to start with you, Stephanie, because the work you do at YML, you're basically a bridge to the metaverse. You create these rich digital experiences. You transform and evolve brands like Home Depot, Champion, State Farm. So my question is, are these brands asking you to transform and evolve them to be metaverse ready? And if they are, or if they eventually do, what's your stance on that?
Yeah, great question. I would ask, are we in the metaverse right now, even on this channel as we're broadcasting live? But definitely what we're seeing is a few different categories. There are the businesses and brands that, have been playing in this space for quite some time. The entertainment companies, the gaming companies that we're all familiar with. There's the companies that are looking to dip their toe in, trying to figure out how to do it. And then there's the ones that are still really, embarking on their digital transformation initiatives. But I think for us at YML, we're always, probing our clients and asking them, why are you looking to do this? What's the customer value that you're going to get out of, embarking on a metaverse type initiative or, trying to explore, bringing your customers into that type of, working engagement. What are you trying to offer them? Is it a different type of connection with other sorts of consumers? You were talking about community. Is it offering them a different sort of branded experience? Sometimes it doesn't really make sense for the brand that you are or the you currently have. If you're a bank or a financial institution, what is the metaverse really going to provide your clients at this moment of time? But if you're an entertainment company or a social media company, the possibilities, really could be endless there. And perhaps you should be thinking about it. Or if you're a apparel company, you mentioned Champion Clients, there might be ways that you can have branded moments within an existing metaverse or gaming type of an experience. So for us, it's always really starting with the why and what the value is that you can provide. I think really starting with that, it allows for us to really provide insight to our clients as to what is the right way to approach this and what's the right investment to make.
I love that. I love also, they want the answer, but you really ask the pointed questions that get you there, which is really smart. So Jae, we got to talk about content in the metaverse because you make fantastic content in our world at Observatory, from Chipotle, Netflix, Nike. I mean, there's a true skill in being able to tell a story the way you can tell a story. So I want to know your opinion on the evolution of content of storytelling in the metaverse. Is it going to be this interactive, immersive experience, or do you think it still will be passive?
The short answer is both. The longer answer is, by the way, I love Stephanie's answer and agree. You should have a marketing strategy and a content strategy. Only then think about the media through which that strategy and creative comes to life. So completely buy that. And I think that applies to straight up content as well. Some content is simply meant to be seen passively. I don't want to interact with The Godfather. I want to watch The Godfather having its 50th anniversary this year, right? But if I want to interact in that world or a world like it, I might play Grand Theft Auto. And Grand Theft Auto is probably going to be pretty awesome in the metaverse. I don't actually like that kind of violent game, but if I did, that I would want to play that in the metaverse. So I think, it's Stephanie's point said differently, which is depending on the creator's point of view on what the audience experience should be, or the marketer's point of view on what the audience reaction should be. Then you can determine whether in the metaverse you want your content to be interactive. That's the action I want them to take, or passive. I want them to take away a feeling, a thought, an engagement that they'll act on elsewhere in the world. That's
great. Okay, so I think that then I want to kind of throw a question to both of you then, because I think we've touched on this a little bit, the feelings, the emotions, the content. But let's throw this up. Whoever wants to answer it. This is more about destinations. And I love that you mentioned Grand Theft Auto. It's a world we can essentially go into. So here's what we have with brands, right? We have BMW who built Joytopia. We have, Panera filed for the Paneraverse. You can go over to 6th Street and check out Dolly Parton's Dollyverse. Do you think brands should build their own metaverses, or should they, borrow the equity of one that actually exists already?
I'd love to start off with this question because to me, it's the typical question that we get, which is, do you build your own technology or do you rent or lease it from, another maker? And I think, again, it goes back to what your strategy is going to be. And are you looking to really experiment in this space, or do you see it as a long-term play and a core customer need? Again, going back to, brands that, really have, and a whole ecosystem that revolves around the metaverse, gaming being a really great example. And I think one that's kind of easy for people who are trying to wrap their heads around this to understand. It makes sense to maybe go all in and say, I'm going to invest in creating these virtual realities, these augmented realities for people to, exist, play, and consume in. But if you're a newer, or a brand that's, really trying to dip the toe in and maybe experiment, which for us is, we talk about exporting Silicon Valley at YML, the methodology of really seeing if your customers are going to latch onto it. Maybe try to do a partnership, maybe to say, how can I partner with the Grand Theft Autos of the world, or the Nikes who are building, their own stores? How can I do a strategic partnership there? Maybe launch an avatar or some sort of branded experience. See if customers, resonate or are actually purchasing and interacting. And am I getting, the results and meeting the KPIs that I'm achieving to looking to do? And if so, go all in. Your experiment succeeded, and if not, you didn't waste a lot of money, and you can walk out of that with a really, really clear data point.
Awesome. Anything to add there, Jay?
Once again, I love Stephanie's answer. Can I just throw up a ditto?
Yeah.
I think, Matt, your examples are fantastically chosen, because I'm not certain as a marketer what the strategic utility is of the Paneraverse, except for the fact that you and I just mentioned it on a live stream about marketing and content. So great, they got a press hit out of it. Yep. But I don't understand. I can't buy their product there. Maybe I could get a promotion there. But is that the best place for me to get a promotion? I have to go to their metaverse versus one of the many, many being built by those who already attract and engage me for other reasons beyond a promotion for a cheaper sandwich. On the other hand, Dolly Parton's a great example. She transcends above pop. She creates popular culture in virtually every form of media, has been doing so for 7 decades. I hope I didn't get her age wrong, but that's my guess, right? She has a theme park. By the way, my company's very much based in Los Angeles. I'm based in Los Angeles, but I also have a place in Nashville. That's where I am now, so maybe I'm feeling Dolly. But I think Dolly has, forgive the phrase, earned the right in popular culture, built a library of work in so many forms of media that I might want to go interact with her world in the same way I want to go ride her roller coaster. So I think, depending on who you are as a human or a company, the strategic utility or strategic purpose of building your own metaverse comes out of that. So no Panera, yes Dolly.
Love that. So this is the perfect pivot right there. I love what you just said of she can create pop culture. So let's get right into the second section of the creator economy, because you're right. She has transcended. She can literally create pop culture, but now anyone can create anything and has an audience, which is just so amazing and mind blowing. When you think of the old days, it's like, I got to get in front of Jae Goodman. I got to send a headshot, maybe some flowers. I got to get noticed. And now everyone has a microphone. So Jay, I want to stick with you and ask you this question on the creator economy. So with your history, right, you have your finger on the pulse of entertainment and talent. We fast forward to where we are today in 2022. You have, as I mentioned, the D'Amelio sisters with over hundreds of millions of followers on TikToks. You have major motion pictures being shot on iPhones. Like, what is your take on how the tools and the talent are changing and evolving entertainment as we know it?
Once again, I love the way you asked the question. I would maybe reverse what you said at the very end with tools and talent, which is one thing remains true regardless of how media transforms. Forgive me for maybe being cliche, but from cave paintings to TikTok in the metaverse, right? Art transcends, talent transcends. So the fact that the tools have been democratized, that's great. That's just a function of media. But talent will still rise. Charlie D'Amelio, both D'Amelios, are remarkably talented. Now, it's also true that some talent is better at some forms of media than others, but that's also always been true. Some musicians try acting, for example. I won't name names here. They tend to still be better known as musicians than actors. Very few. That's a different art form, but also typically delivered through different forms of media. So once again, I think everything you said is sort of true in different ways. Talent transcends, tools change. Both of those things will always be true.
So I love that answer. And I want to kind of now bring it to you, Stephanie, and from a brand standpoint or an advertising standpoint, when you think of when brands went to social and they can kind of broadcast their messaging, but now all of a sudden these creators, influencers, they have as much power and potency. So for you, the top brands you work with at YML, like you're guiding them through the digital world, you're creating digital experiences. In your take, like how much do you think our industry has shifted from brands broadcasting this kind of mono message to enlisting creators and influencers to help amplify their own brand story in the creator's voice?
Yeah, I love that quote, Jay. Like art and talent transcends, because it's certainly the truth. I think it's pivotal to any brand to think about how creators can make your message more authentic. We're working with a lot of companies right now, ones where their whole entire acquisition strategy is focused around how you have and it's not necessarily the large influencers, with million plus followers, but the micro influencers who are just, saying, hey, I'm wearing this apparel. My friends look at me as someone who is stylish. How can I make sure that the product photography on my e-commerce site, is easy enough and integrated with, the Instagram profiles of those micro influencers. So in short, I think brands need to be really cognizant of everyone who is, part of their ecosystem, and sharing, their brand and amplifying their message, from those major moments that, where they're part of larger campaigns and broadcast messaging to, how they're doing the smaller things where someone's considering to buy, again, a Champion sweatshirt. And, how are you looking at the ratings and reviews for that sweatshirt online, and having that integration, which is a very technical integration, and that stuff that we do to make sure that you're saying, oh, that fit looks like this person, which looks like me. And I actually want to go through and consider that purchase. And I think brands really need to look at that entire customer journey, to make sure that they're coming off as authentic and they're coming off as, their true selves. And it's a great opportunity, though, to really just amplify who they are and what they're trying to do.
So I think I want to ask a follow-up, and this is not even some of the questions we talked about. This is off script, but I love that with Champion too. And you think of, it's like even affiliate marketing now, and the ability where people, they're invested in the actual brand to help sell. So I'll throw this up to either one who kind of wants to answer it. When you think of like the next decade, because you're totally right, Stephanie, it's like you have your kind of group of influencers, micro influencers, macro, if there's a bigger campaign. But over the next decade, as the creator economy rises, do you think brands should kind of lean into it, like fuel it, have a whole kind of business unit that just focuses on fueling the creator economy? Or are they going to give up too much control, and will their message kind of get muddied if they do that? What's your take on this?
I mean, I'm curious what Jay has to say, because, he obviously has, such great insight into how all the messaging works together. But, I think from my take, I think there can be something really, again, like authentic around that. You think about, and I think about it from an engineering perspective, it's why you do user testing and why you do, small beta groups. And there's such interesting methodology that goes into it about asking the right amount of people at the right points in the process and not asking too many people too early on. But in any case, I think getting user feedback and having that be a part of your process and actually allowing for that expression, with that creator economy, I guess what I'm trying to say is, like, you can actually use that to your business advantage and say, hey, I'm going to provide product. I'm going to allow for people to amplify our message. It's not necessarily giving, up control. It's allowing for you to get two-way feedback on your product, your positioning, and your performance, and like, how can you take those as additional data points to fuel your business at the end of the day?
Another great answer. I hope we're recording this because I want to actually
I
go back
know.
and listen
I know.
to Stephanie's answers while I'm not trying to think of something half as smart to say. I think I can answer the question. And Stephanie, I love the way you framed it in terms of the way we approach it for our brand clients. So,
Yeah.
and it's really in some definitions that we've shifted over time. So, we don't do community management, but we often get asked to write overall content strategies, which of course include real-time interaction with your community, right? And so we dropped the word manager years ago and suggested to brands, you don't want a community manager, you want a community facilitator. Manage says you're trying to drive and create and maybe even change or force the conversation. That's not where we're going, especially as you talk to what's in your question, Matt, the creator economy. So it's more about facilitating those creators and facilitating that community. And then, yes, Stephanie, absolutely being attuned to it and reacting accordingly in good times and in challenging. The second definition we changed is with regard to influencer marketing. Influencer marketing assumes you're going to go out and buy people's audience or try to find human beings, right? What we suggest is you have an influence strategy. What message are you trying to share? What values are you sharing with influencers? Once you have that, then you can go find the human beings. And again, Stephanie said it, whether they have 1,000 followers or 100 million, right? If you have an influence strategy, you'll know if they're right based on aligned values and aligned role in the world, as opposed to, wow, the D'Amelio sisters have a crazy following. We should be in business with them, right? Maybe, maybe not. And then the last thing, and then I'll shut up, is with regard to handing, where you started with your question, with regard to handing your brand over to creators, that can be a bit scary. It's also, Stephanie's point, necessary at this point. One benefit that you have, and we talked about this the other day, is a little bit of extra brand elasticity. So, for example, a decade plus ago, when Vice came on as a voice in the world, Vice gave brands permission, I won't say what I said before, to say the F word, right? So, Nike, Gap, whomever did deals with Vice in the day, I don't recall who, but people expect Vice to swear. People don't want their favorite brands, for the most part, to swear. But when Vice drops an F-bomb in front of your brand, that was somehow okay. So I think using the creators of the world, again, whether they have 1,000 or 100 million followers, to speak in their authentic voice and bring your brand values and brand messaging through it can be a real valuable relationship with the creator economy.
It's such a great point. It almost evolves them as a brand. And to your point, Stephanie, too, which you both are so good at, you kind of zoom us out, which is the problem as marketers. We kind of zoom in so much and follow the craze and see, do I hop on this? Do I run through this door? And that's why these conversations are amazing. And I know we're recording it too, because you kind of zoom out for us, which is perfect. Which leads us to our third and final topic. Essentially, one more question for each of you on this topic, and then we'll round this out. But NFTs and the future of community. They say if a tree falls in the forest and no one's there to hear it, doesn't make a sound. Well, if you go to South by and you're not there to launch an NFT platform, did you even show up there? Because my goodness, from Porsche to the WWE to Dolly Parton to everyone's just launching NFTs at this point. But there is an undercurrent of what community could actually mean, and we want to try to figure out where that connective fiber is. So, Stephanie, I want to start with you because you are a builder in the digital world, and NFTs offer this chance to own parts of that digital world, to grant exclusive access to parts of that digital world. Do you think brands should use NFTs as a way to create membership or community, or is there a better way to approaching that in digital?
Yeah, I do. And I know it's such like a hot topic right now. Everyone's just, trying to navigate their way through, how do I even purchase an NFT? What kind of wallet do I need on my phone in order to do it? Which is an exciting problem, we're trying to tackle with awareness and education at YML. But in any case, I think there's just a huge opportunity. And what I really think is going to be very interesting to see is the first brand to tackle this. Imagine the use case. You go and you pay for, a burrito or a salad, and you're checking out, and, you don't really need to fully use, your Amex card, you're using some sort of, loyalty card on your phone, and it automatically is using your reward points. It's hitting your bank accounts. It's automatically, leveling you up, and it's all authenticated, and it knows exactly who you are, maybe linked into some, biometric data, which sounds scary, but we have to remember we're already using face recognition on our phone. And I assume a lot of people who are watching this are members of Clear. So, I think the first brand to do this in a really smart way to level up loyalty, and again, provide some additional customer value. I think that's going to be the real key thing. Where is it not just, hey, here's an NFT that's sitting on my phone somewhere or part of my Twitter profile. I think that's really where, there is going to be a breakthrough. And it's exciting. We're talking about some of those breakthroughs on our end at YML, but I think it's, again, really focused on that loyalty and community aspect, versus it just being, hey, here's a digital certification for, an existing screenshot or a piece of artwork. Love the fact that it's creating conversation around it. Really cool. Like, that we're able to talk about these things, but I think it will be exciting.
You're right, though. It's like loyalty is so important, and it kind of get pulled away to what Jay said before. It's a PR headline. Like we're talking about it, but is there substance behind it? So I think you make a really good point. So Jay, for you, I mean, NFTs are digital art. So as we said before, with 4 Grand Prix, I mean, creative more than most. Like Chipotle, A Future Begins, like that is art, my friend. You've made fast casual emotional. You're pulling my heartstrings. So like, I just want to level set with you as like a true creative who can see and understand and make art. When you see some of these NFTs popping up, do you see them and say, oh my God, this is like the new frontier, this is the future? Or you're kind of scratching your head and saying like, what am I looking at here? And why is it being sold for $69 million?
Well, everybody's doing that. So let me frame it up. But first of all, I love, again, Stephanie's example of loyalty and burritos. Because, for example, I'll start at the end and then I'll frame it up.
Yeah.
Which is, so Chipotle, they're going to kill me, but this is out there. They have these celebrity cards. They're super double top secret, except that I just shared it. Very few super high end or super well known or super loyal customers get them, and it's free burritos for life, right? So it's a physical card right now. David Beckham comes in, chose it. David Beckham, huge fan of the brand, brings his kids there. That's how he got one. Victoria got a little mad, as I understand it, because she didn't get one. Whole other story. I digress, right? So, but Stephanie's example is perfect because that should be an NFT, and then, or at least be on the blockchain, right? So the framing up is this: like, I'm a blockchain enthusiast. The idea of a super clear, super clean chain of ownership is a great idea, especially in the art world where provenance is everything, right? I should also say, though, I'm a crypto skeptic. I think fiat currency is just fine. And I'm an equivocator as regards NFTs, back to your question. So the equivocation is this. There's a New York Times opinion piece like 2-3 Sundays ago that said NFTs may or probably are a celebrity pump and dump scheme. People with huge followings can create huge interest in something that creates value. And then, of course, they happen to already own that thing. And then they can sell and make a ton of dough, right? So like, I don't love that. I don't know if it's true or not, but I don't love that that's the conversation around it, or that there's risk associated with that. The other side of my equivocation is I do love art. And art in any medium is art. And so if Murakami, for example, who did create a beautiful NFT, I want that as much as I want the other Murakamis that I can't afford. So art in any medium is still art, and NFT is just that. And then back to your question about brands, it goes all the way back to where Stephanie and I started. Have a marketing strategy, have a content strategy. And if NFTs are part of that, great. Pepsi did a great job with their NFTs. Not a client, just a fan. And they drove real value, aftermarket value on OpenSea. I think like $6 million in exchanges. Humans paying humans in crypto. I get it, but humans paying humans, for NFTs that Pepsi created. That brand is now engaging with their audience meaningfully. So I buy that as a marketing exercise, and I buy that as a legitimate use of NFTs by a brand.
I think that's completely fair. And I, again, love to zoom out to kind of to see the whole picture. So I noticed it's 12:30 right now. We're gonna just, I know we're pretty much at time, but there was a question that was essentially DM'd through this that I'm just gonna ask, throw it up, or whoever wants to answer it, and then we'll close. So a little bonus time right here because this conversation is extremely rich. And if you guys are willing to go another 120, 180 seconds, let's do it. So here's what came in. It said, have you seen any brands thinking of the metaverse as an opportunity to take more creative approaches to purpose-driven content, storytelling, and marketing? So a question that basically takes everything we've talked about and synthesizes it into one question.
I mean, at YML, we're exploring it actually for our own brand, and I can't share too much because I believe in like making sure we're gonna like launch everything. But actually, I'll share this. Like, there are a lot of considerations, and I hope, to take this away as something that if you're looking to explore this, kind of learn the lessons that we did. There's a lot of considerations to be taken when you are exploring anything with Web3, specifically with like the environmental sides and the fact that like a lot of this can just be seen as vaporware, whether it is for the marketing purposes. So it's why, you keep hearing my push for focusing on really the customer value. When exploring this for, hey, as YML and our company, and one that's, rooted in Silicon Valley, and we really want to understand and wrap our heads around this, and we have history here. How do we want to explore this? We really have been exploring how to do this in a way that is, using the right type of technology, Solana or other types of cryptocurrencies that have low environmental impact, that can educate, consumers and people who might be interacting with us on, purchasing and considerations and how they might want to do it when actually building their own Web3 shops. And then similarly, for us, we're talking about how to inform people around the pros and cons of ownership. What does it mean to own art, to say, hey, I'm claiming everything? That's a real conversation that is going to continue to happen. If you're not a brand and you're just saying, hey, I'm creating this and I'm owning it, there's a lot of conversation to be unpacked there. So, I'm sure there's a lot of brands who are going through similar things, but I would say kind of turn the conversation if you're looking to explore that on yourselves, because you can be a thought leader in that space. And if you want to have that conversation with us and our team, like, it's been a very active and openly honest, and informative conversation for myself, who's been, a technologist for such a long time. It's a very, very fastly evolving space with a lot of thought leaderships and opinions, just like as Jae mentioned, with, everyone wants to write a 2,000 word thought piece on it. It's getting all the clicks.
No, but it is experience and customer experience agency of the year, right? It's like exactly, it's in your DNA and what you do. So absolutely. Jae, any final thoughts on the metaverse and storytelling?
Well, I just love that that Stephanie just totally deconstructed the global art and collectibles market. So like a little ripple just went through. Someone at Gagosian Gallery just was like, "Wait, what?" Like
it was wild. I was like, "Whoo!"
Ownership in art is a challenging thing. Are we going to museums just to see things that billionaires collected and now are showing them off? And the same is true in the metaverse. I think with your question about purpose-driven brands in the metaverse, the answer is no. Haven't seen it for those who aren't purpose-driven brands already. So, I love Stephanie's point. If you're going to do something with crypto, do it green or carbon neutral. Solana is a great option. But if you're not a purpose-driven brand trying to do something purpose-driven beyond being carbon neutral when you're using crypto, like, it's not authentic, and authenticity is everything. So Chipotle, purpose-driven brand, maybe the most sustainable food supply chain in the world, right? Nike, purpose-driven brand, move the world through sport. When they go into the metaverse, they're purpose-driven. They will have a purpose-driven series of actions in the metaverse. Somebody who's not that, somebody who puts a whole bunch of sugar into our bodies and doesn't care, not naming names, right? And then they go to the metaverse and try to do something good for the world. Well, good for them for trying to do something good. But if it's not authentic to their brand purpose, they will be attacked for it. And so one has to be careful when doing purpose-driven actions anywhere and make sure that they actually align with the human or company behind them.
So it's the perfect end right there, right? Because we're in a fast-paced, breakneck speed of technology and emerging media, and obviously brands need help in navigating that. And that's a great point, Jae and Stephanie, of you need to be able to, have your DNA and know who you are before you step through that next door, even though everyone's trying to break it down. So this has been an absolutely unbelievable conversation. It's no shock between Observatory and YML while you're winning these massive awards and being Customer Experience Agency of the Year, World's Most Innovative Company 3 years in a row. Brands go to you to navigate these worlds. So I think this was jam-packed 35 minutes. The recording we'll send out. I want to thank everyone for joining us here at Stagwell at South by Southwest. Tomorrow we will have our final recap episode, but it's just me, and frankly, it is not going to be as good as the 35 minutes you just had, but we'll try to synthesize it up. So Jae, Stephanie, thank you so much for joining me today.
Thank you, Matt, and thanks, Stagwell.
Awesome.
Thanks,
Have a great
Jae.
day, everyone.
Bye. Bye, everyone. Enjoy South by.